welcome everyone to today's role model talk. Thank you so much for joining us today. As I mentioned kind of a little bit earlier, I'm going to be repeating myself probably on this one a bit, but yeah, so these sessions are slightly different to our normal kind of uncommon sessions where we can't see or hear you. So as I have been saying a bunch of times, you can go get a drink, you can have some snacks, you can get just as comfy as you want, and you can make funny faces at us and we won't be able to see them, and that's totally fine and fun. And if you want to interact with us, then we have the Zoom chat that you can speak in, or we also have like a Q&A question and answer bit where you can ask us any questions, and that's there to kind of help us be able to see what is a question, what's just like us hanging out. And just in terms of what these sessions are, if you've never been to them before, basically we have a lovely guest and then we talk to them, and they'll tell us about their like journey, and kind of like their interests, and it's just to kind of see how different all of us kind of differently navigate the world and what our experiences are and stuff. And it's going to be really nice. And I'm very excited about this because Len will be talking to us about circusy bits and stuff.
Yay.
Yeah, it's super fun. Oh, and just in case, I'm Mivy, and I'm sure that a lot of you have seen me already, but I do a lot of the facilitating here. I do, like I said, I did Gamers Club just now. I do some Roblox club, some Minecraft club, and other bits and pieces that occasionally come up. And then I usually host these sessions, which is very fun. And yes, Len, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Thank you very much for the nice moderation. Hi, everyone. I'm Len. You may have seen me around. I'm one of the newer common facilitators and mostly have been doing gaming sessions over the last couple of months. Yeah, very excited to be here and talk about nerdy circus things. Bit about me, I'm autistic and ADHD as well, so I've been navigating my life like that. And I came to the UK in 2019 to study biology. So I did undergrad in just normal biology and then a master's in biochemistry. So I'm very much a science nerd as well. And apart from science, as Ruby said, I'm a circus person. So I do circus arts. I'm not like a professional, like running away with the circus kind of person, but I do it as a hobby. And I've got lots of fun stories about that as well. And apart from science and circus, I love gaming. So anything we do in the gaming clubs, but also by myself, I love it. And then got a special interest in animals, frogs, dinosaurs, other science bits,
I'm
fantastic
seeing
things.
I'm seeing one question already, which we can answer now. Where did
Mm.
you study your degree?
So I did both of my degrees so far in Portsmouth, so that's right in the south of the UK.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
I did not do marine biology, although that would be a good spot for that.
some other people from Uncommon are based there at the moment, so you could have
Oh,
brushed paths with them and you wouldn't even know. That's crazy.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. So, a question that we kind of always ask people here is, so what were like some of the kind of, I'm gonna say unique challenges or like moments that you experienced growing up with neurodivergence? And I know that you said that you were late diagnosed, so it's a lot of kind of thinking back.
Yeah, so I think difficult is a very good word to describe the growing up process. I think a lot of us can relate to that. But in terms of growing up a neurodivergent, I remember from a very young age being like very obsessed with dinosaurs, and that led to my now interest in all things science, and so that was a very positive part. But I definitely struggled with my mental health growing up in school specifically. But again, that passion for science has kind of helped me see it through. Um, so it was good to focus on some things. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that makes
yeah.
perfect sense. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely relatable to have like maybe some difficult moments and then or like a difficult period of time and having your interests kind of help like guide you through it, if that makes any sense. Where yeah, I definitely found a lot of comfort from like gaming and like whatever else I may have been interested at the time. I think film for sure. Um was
Very much gaming as
there
well, yes.
always gaming, Pokemon for sure. Was there a time when you started to feel kind of like I don't proud is sometimes difficult, but like when you started to recognize it in yourself and not feel that it was such like a hindrance to you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm late diagnosed. So I got my autism diagnosis at 20 and then my ADHD diagnosis at 21. So up until then, it was very much the feeling of why am I so bad at this? Why can't I do things other people can? Yeah, and just being very upset that seemingly simple things are just very, very difficult and take so much energy from me. And since my diagnosis like has kind of it's still a work in progress, but it's shifted more towards I'm not a bad person, I'm just neurodivergent, I'm just disabled, and that's okay, and that's something we can work with, basically. I do have my strengths
Mm,
outside of the things I struggle with. And yeah, sometimes that does make me kind of glad about the way I am because of how I have my passions and my strengths. Um, but
yeah.
at other times it's more of an acceptance, I think, more than being proud, as you said.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely struggle with it as well, where sometimes there are days where I'm just like, oh, why did this happen again?
Mm,
But then there are some times where I'm just like, oh, I'm really good at like, I don't know, I really like my pattern recognition and how quick it is. I feel like it helps me kind of spot things in shows or even just like help making kind of like quips and jokes and stuff. It makes me a lot
mm.
faster. And I really like that about myself. Yeah. So
Lovely.
I think our main thing for today that we're going to be speaking is kind of like your passion, and how you approach kind of finding new hobbies and stuff. So I would love to know, how did you find out what you love to do?
Yeah, I think that depends on the age for me. Some people might relate to that as well, but I just feel like some things I've just always had. Like I suddenly became conscious at the age of 5 and really enjoyed dinosaurs for some reason.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, and then growing up, especially with gaming, I used a lot of my after school time on YouTube, like watching gaming creators just to decompress and de-stress from school. And that kind of motivated me to try out some games, which led into that. That also led me to try out like video editing, which I'm really into. I was lots into more when I was a bit younger. Now I'm kind of just loving it from afar, but yeah. And it's very much the idea that there's so many different things I want to do. Um, Only a couple of them have actually developed into
Mm,
passions. So it's a lot of trial and error. Um, and very much the mindset of like, oh, this is cool, I want to do it. So I'm just gonna do it now and then see what happens. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
I really like that. I think that's such a good way of going about it. And I think it's something that I stop myself doing so much now, but I definitely used to do it a lot more when I was younger. And like you, decided like one day I was gonna learn how to edit videos, and that's what I ended up studying. So I think it's sometimes like there's like an instinct there of what you think might be good for you, and it's worth kind of following that road. Um,
Mm.
yeah. So so many things that you like. How do you go about kind of trying these things? Because like I just said, like sometimes I stop myself because I'm like, oh, I might not be good at this, or like, oh, I might look a
Mm.
bit silly.
Um, I think there's again it's a lot of trial and error. So a quick anecdote I wanted to share is that like things that haven't worked out is I really tried to be into music, and I learned 5 different instruments and I just could not. I just can't play the instrument nowadays, and I can't get myself to practice it. But that's just something that didn't stick, for example.
Hmm.
Um, but very much growing up, especially at uni level, I had the feeling that life was kind of just passing by me, and I wasn't really doing anything actively. And that really bothered me, that feeling. So I decided that like I actually want to try new things and actively do things. Um, Not necessarily being good at all of the things I do,
Mm,
but just kind of making experiences and doing new things. Um, and what kind of helped me in that space, because it can be really, really scary, is to think that all the other people that are trying things out with you, they're in the exact same position as you. So most likely none of them are going to be like instantly great at stuff. Um, and a kind of a trap that I sometimes fall into that I try to avoid is If there's a new thing I'm really excited about, I'm really passionate about, all of a sudden,
Mm,
that my main mindset is like, this is my life now, this is my entire being, this is my entire existence. And
yeah.
trying to shift away from that a little bit of like, instead of my whole life is this new thing, it's just like, oh, this is just a thing I'm trying. Um,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah, that's such a good
And
way of looking at it. Yeah, I feel
sorry, I
like
lost my train of thought. Yeah.
no, that's fine. I was about to say, yeah, that's such a good way of looking at it because I definitely I want to be the best
hmm
always. I'm the best. And you can't always be the best because sometimes you have to learn how to do things, and that is very difficult. I started learning to try and play the violin, hated it. Started trying
hmm
to learn how to play the flute, never practiced, but I could get by with my like sight reading and kind of like figuring it out, pattern recognition. So I think
Yeah.
there's always merit in definitely trying to try things and then also not attaching your like self-worth to it because it might not be your thing and that's okay.
Yeah, that's definitely very hard. And as I said, with the trial and everything, sometimes you go to a thing with the best mindset ever, and then at the end you just feel like I'm terrible at this and I never want to try anything new again. But
Yeah,
it's very much a balance of trying to get out of that and resting in between trying new things and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I've seen something recently that it doesn't really apply to a lot of everybody. But there's something like it's worth going to like a class or like a club rather than just deciding like, oh, I'm gonna buy this violin or this flute or these I used to make jewelry, these jewelry supplies. It's always worth kind of
Yeah.
going and meeting people and then trying to do it in a safe space where somebody might be teaching you because sometimes that helps.
Yeah, and I think that helps prevent the hobby graveyard that a lot of people, I
Yeah.
think especially with ADHD, have. I've got like a whole bag of crocheting stuff that I've touched like twice in the last 3 years. But yeah,
Yes. Yes,
some things work out, some things don't.
if you were to look across my room, you'd be able to find so many little hints of hobbies that I've picked up. Yeah, in terms of, I guess, uh, so you've tried a bunch of things. How do you go about then narrowing that down a bit more and trying to like decide that you want to like continue doing it rather than just being like, okay, I've done that, let's move on.
That's a very good question. It probably is a lot about gut feeling and how you are in that space as well. Like sometimes an activity is great, but the space you're in is making you not feel great. And I
Mm,
think that's where the positive side of circus is for me. Is because often if you think of performers like actors or dancers, the stereotype is kind of they're like very distant and very like strict, and they're very much they'll tell you if you do something wrong. And in circus, I feel like the people are also lovely. So that has a little component.
okay.
Um, but also the again balance, a great word. Balance between going out of your comfort zone and but not going too far. Like
Mm,
I think a lot of modern advice is telling you to do that many things, and it doesn't really work for us neurodivergent people because we can't have the energy of everything. Um, so yeah, feeling it out, seeing if you can make it sustainable with rest in between, and see yeah what where your joy is, where your passion is.
yeah. See where your joy is such a nice way of putting
Yeah.
it. I think there's definitely been times where I then feel like a failure if I don't continue something or if I'm not good at everything. But like that I think it's definitely a nice way of kind of making sure to check in with yourself and not just being like, I have to actually do this because I told myself or I told like another person and now I'm going to be I don't know, a magician. But yeah, no, that's such a good way of thinking about it. I am very interested energy wise, kind of like how can you go about managing your energy levels, kind of because you're putting yourself out there a lot.
Mm.
Um, not just trying something new, but as we said, sometimes like meeting new people, going to a new space. Yeah, how do you go about kind of managing that?
I feel for me, it's a lot of the kind of like prep and aftercare stuff. So very much when I've been in a new situation with social expectations where there's people there that you have to
Mm.
talk to, it takes a lot of energy out of me. So there's a lot of rest required afterwards, and a lot of building my mental energy up for the next thing. I feel like especially if you have the urge to be the best at everything, be really good at stuff, then you might
Hmm.
struggle with rejection sensitivity as well. So it feels like it may be the end of the world, even though it's really not. But it feels like that to you, and that takes energy. So being careful with how much I try and giving
Hmm.
myself enough rest in between. And then also I think some things themselves give me energy back to a certain level as well. So especially with circus things, like aerial in uni, I felt that break from everything outside of that, once I've started doing it more
Mm.
regularly, that gave me some headspace where I could just not think about anything else, where that activity was actually the restful part, even though it's not very restful
Mm.
for your body.
No,
Um,
but they say like exercising and stuff gives you more energy. So I guess that also kind of goes into it as well. And just not being kind of bogged down as much with like your thoughts and stuff. But yeah.
yeah, I think I'll visualize it a bit later. I'll make clear what I mean with that, but with the kind of hobby I do is very much you have
Foreshadowing.
to, yeah, I know, right? You
Yeah.
have to be very present, which for me is really great because if I have any stresses, any stuff to worry about outside of that,
Mm.
I can't worry about that because I have to listen to instructions and I have to carry them out so I don't fall on my face. That's pretty much the most important bit, which is, yeah, I think it's quite, I like it.
Perhaps I should take up circus. No, I won't. I won't. But another universe, I am doing
Mm.
circus somewhere. So we've mentioned the word circus a lot. Let's just
Oh
get
yeah,
into it.
my favorite topic.
I've requested access for the video sharing. Have
Hmm.
you received any pokes about that? And then I will share my screen to everyone because we have
Um,
some pictures and we also have some videos of Len doing some very cool
yeah.
stuff.
So you've poked me to do it. How does that work? Sorry.
I sent a request, so you may have to, I don't know, maybe via your email, there might be something there.
Okay, let me give me a second to try.
No
Do,
worries.
do, do, do.
Yeah, I need some what do you call it? Like waiting room music.
Mm.
Next time. I need like a soundboard or something, actually.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Cool.
Okay. How do I do this? Yes.
Yeah, hopefully there's just a button that's like approve.
Yeah. Got like four different things of sharing stuff. I'll
Ah,
just do that and hope that works.
nice. Okay, cool. And if not, then you're gonna have to show us like live.
Yeah, that's
You're
fine.
gonna have to just do the circus things in front of us right
Oh
now.
yeah, 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 sure. No problem.
Okay,
How's that
slideshow.
worked?
It's not giving me a message, so yes, we've done it, everyone.
Woo.
Let me quickly shift some things and then I will share my screen. And then yeah, Len, you just tell me when you need
Sorry.
me to
Yeah.
like move the page, essentially.
Yeah. Woo.
Lovely.
I
Oh,
like my little guy that I've inserted into this slide.
I think it's so
Hee
cute. Can you juggle?
Uh, not yet. I've been
Ooh.
trying to learn it. I've got like there's a pre-exercise you can do where you just do like throwing timing things that I can do, but I'm very hopeless at juggling other than that.
I feel like it does take a lot of dexterity.
Yeah,
And yeah, I just no, not for me. I've seen some such cool juggling videos though.
yeah. Have you seen competitive juggling?
No, but that will now become my whole
Yes.
life.
It's basically it looks like people are fighting against each other while juggling. It's really cool.
Oh my
It's not
God.
what I do, but it's fantastic.
Everybody, I have to go. I have to go watch these videos. No, okay. Uh back on track,
Back on
everyone.
track. Yay.
Circus stuff. How did you get
Good stuff.
started?
Woo. So the first things I ever tried, thank you for holding up the slide, was Aero 6 and static trapeze. You may have, I don't know, seen an ad around somewhere that there's a local dance school that does it. So I did exactly that. I saw that it was being done around where I was living at the time
Mhm.
and thought that looked cool. Um, and going back to kind of uni times with like stresses and mental health and things, I found for myself that exercising or like physical activity was really, really important for me to stay
Mm.
sane, really. And as I said, the whole like having an hour of not having to think about anything else was really useful for me. So that's kind of what motivated me and really helped me stay at the hobby, I guess.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, so it's very much, yeah, you're there in the moment. You have to think about that and nothing else. Yeah, so as I said, started with Circus and trapeze. You can see me there making some fun shapes. I
I
love
would
being
like
upside down.
to I would like to take a moment to
Yes.
say, do not try this at home, everyone, unless
Oh,
you
yes,
are
of
with a
course.
trained professional.
Yeah.
Yes, you may carry on.
Yes, of course. That is very much under the instruction of an instructor that is trying to do that. So yeah, it can be very dangerous. So please
Mm.
only do it when you are in a setting that allows that. Um, yes. So as I said, I like being upside down.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's what I did for 2.5 years now, I think. And very important to note, these pictures are not from my first lesson. This is very much down the line. At the
Uh-huh.
start, you will suck very badly. Um, but there's again this community and this mental space and just enjoying, yeah, either being upside down or like wrapping yourself around in funny shapes.
Oh,
Get
where,
me there.
so what, how long did it take for you to get to this level?
Um, that might be like a year and a half down the line, maybe.
Okay.
Obviously, depending on how fit you are beforehand. So if you like were a gymnast beforehand or dancer, it might be a lot easier. But I wasn't. So
Mm.
it's very can be a very slow process. But with these two things, trapeze and circus, it's very friendly for beginners. Some of the later stuff I show is very much not friendly for beginners. So these were good things to start.
Okay. Good to
Um,
know.
so yeah, that's what got me into the hobby. That was like really a stable twice a week for a long time, which is very nice. And then that's when I started kind of going a bit more out of things. So first, I did some performing, which was fun. If you want to go to the next slide, I put that
Ooh,
in now.
okay.
This is just some snapshots from performances. When you're introverted and very scared of people, this is very scary. But on the other side, I found it really nice to have something that's important to you, like say a uni exam or a school exam, or test.
Mm.
But if you fail, it doesn't matter. And that's a
Mm.
very nice feeling to have. I didn't know that feeling when I was in school because every test I felt like it mattered and I wanted to be 100% at everything. But with these things, if you fail, if you fall off, if you do something silly, it doesn't matter in the end because you just do it for fun. So that was quite a nice discovery for me.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. I feel like so much, there's like work and there's, as you said, school. It's so easy to attach your self-worth to that. And then every hit you take just kind of like hurts. Like,
Mm,
we talk about rejection sensitivity. So it is really nice to have like a hobby where it's doing something cool. Not that nothing else is cool, but it's doing something cool like this and then being able to actually feel safe to be able to
yeah,
fail. Yeah. So
exactly.
that's very nice.
It's very much also you at some point meet people that have a similar mindset to you in that sense, and that's quite nice.
Mm.
So yeah, that's when I then started trying new things. If you want to go to the next slide, this is a workshop I did.
Oh, I do have one question. What
Oh
song
yeah.
did you de decide to go for your performing? Or like,
Oh,
what's your song of choice?
the first one you might be able to tell that I have like a little mask on my face, so that was like a little spy or secret agent routine with some music like
Mm.
that. That was quite fun. And the second one was a Christmas routine. So if anyone's watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, there's a song there. That's what I used for that, and it was very fun.
Ah, that's so cool. Okay, yes.
Cool. So,
Sideways?
Seawheel is how you pronounce it, apparently. So
Okay.
if you have access to playing that,
Yes.
on the side you can see how someone that has done it for ages, you can turn the sound off, that's fine.
Yeah.
Someone that's done it for ages is really good at it. And then on the other side, you can see how I'm absolutely failing at it. So I'm struggling to get into it. On
Mm.
the other side, you have someone like standing on their head. And that video goes for like a whole minute. You'll have to show the rest of it. But basically, it's very much to show when you start something, you suck at it, and that's fine. This is okay. And fine with showing this to people.
Do some of them, I feel like I've seen some that have holdy bits. Is that while you're training, or do you fully just have to go into like this is the wheel and you have to attempt to stay on?
There's a different thing that you may have seen. I think it's called a German wheel, where there's like two wheels next to each
Uh,
other with like bars in between.
oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Okay.
similar, but not quite the same. So I think with Sea Wheel, there's no holy bits, as far as I know.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
so enough of me failing.
No,
Um,
it's a good lesson.
a bit more storyline before I get to these pictures.
Okay.
Then I tried doing 1 week intensive, which basically means that I was doing circus full time for a whole week. So it's going from 2 hours a week to 5 hours a day for a whole week. Which, as your facial expression just showed, is very intense. And it very much gives you an appreciation of like what your body can do, even though you're tired or you're
Mm,
sore or your muscles ache. And that gives you a whole lot of appreciation for what you can do. Um, and again, it's just a joy of trying stuff, even if you're bad at it.
mm. Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
like it just looks so cool. It's such a cool thing to do, and I feel like it must be worth like, feeling like you've probably been hit by a train.
Hmm.
And just like having to go through so many hard bits. And I can't believe here you're wearing like Uggs or something to do this. That's intense.
That was because a lot of circus places are, because we need high ceilings, are in warehouses and they get cold in winter. So you very much have like 7 layers and fluffy socks and everything. That's
Oh,
why.
the more you know.
I
Okay,
was just
would
lazy to
you
take them off.
would you like me to turn the page or are we still on this one?
I'll just quickly say before that, most of the next pictures are from what I've just done recently. So I've just come out of it last week.
Okay.
Is a 4 week intensive. So doing that again, full time, like 6 hours a day for
Oh.
4 weeks. And that's very intense. And that takes a lot of um prep, I think, body wise.
Hmm.
But also wanted to say is that it comes at the cost of everything else, or it came at the cost of everything else. So because it's exhausting physically and it's exhausting mentally because you have to listen to lots of people talk at you, there's instructions and you have to follow them and again not fall in your head. And that's very intense. And in those 4 weeks I definitely didn't do anything else other than circus and sleep. And I think that's also very important to remind yourselves of is that if you do something physical with a passion, it will take away from other places if you overdo it.
Mm.
So again, my favorite word is sustainable here. Do it sustainably. Like what I've just done for 4 weeks, as fun as it was, I couldn't do it for like a year or whatnot. It was just for fun. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, like this sort of thing would just become your life if you
Hmm.
didn't do it as more of a hobby, just because I feel like there's so much like body prep involved and like you said as well, like mental prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is very cool and I feel like it's a fun party trick that you could just pull out randomly.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to say as well. On the one side, that straps, earlier when I said some things are like beginner friendly, straps isn't, which is
Oh,
why you can see a picture of me just being upside down, and that's it. That's all I'm doing.
this is
This is
crazy.
intense. Yeah, I tried to find some reference pictures so people can see what actual professionals look like when doing it.
Uh-huh.
And then a really cool thing, Chinese pole, which is, yeah, you can just stack lots of people on top of each other. Um, and I think you just look like Spider-Man on it. So I was very much being a Spider-Man.
So with the Chinese pole, if you're at the very top, is that kind of like the most I'm sure everybody here is like, trained and whatever, but
Yeah.
is that kind of like would the person on top be the most like the not the best, I don't want to say the best, but the most experienced or something, the best at this bit? Or is that just anybody could be on any part of the pole? Like yeah.
Yeah, I think anybody could be anywhere. The positions that you see the people in, they're called rest positions, so they're very safe.
Ah,
The pole is kind of like coated in like a little rubbery material, so you stick to it a little bit. So there's no risk of falling for any of these people. By the way, fun
okay.
fact, the bottom position is called a tada, which I really like.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Nice.
Yeah. And then it's just climbing up, which is exhausting, but it's like you can do it after some time. So if it's a stage photo, it doesn't really matter. In
Mm.
performance, probably the best person would be on top, yeah.
The strongest person probably, because I feel,
Yeah,
oh, I mean, everybody's holding themselves up actually, but I guess you have to go. I'm focused on
yeah.
that. Let's move on.
Cool. Then there's something else I tried. I've done a workshop in that before, and this is now me after doing it for 4 weeks plus a workshop. A little jump. Which is I think my absolute favorite thing to do because it's like if you think of circus, I feel like a lot of people think of that, maybe. Not
Mm,
sure, but these
I
are
think
just
so. Yeah.
outside there's like massive structures and you can do it like lots of people juggling each other around. What's worth saying is that I didn't know that beforehand, but I have lines on me. That means like I have two little ropes, like I'm in a harness, and the
Hmm.
person standing in front there is like lowering me down. Um, I didn't know that was a thing, but I thought everyone did it like that, but actual circus professionals do it without the lines. They just
Ah,
flop around. Yeah.
no. Oh,
Yeah.
that is very cool, but holy moly. It must feel like you're actually flying though.
Yeah. Again, this is after 4 weeks of training and falling on my face with lines very softly, but still, it's
So,
slightly
so,
terrifying.
so with as a complete like beginner, is
Mhm.
there any more safety equipment that would be attached to you here, or is this kind of like the total beginners like thing, and then you just fall on your face a bunch?
Yeah, so I think complete beginner, when I did my first workshop, you very much have the same lines.
Hmm.
But you wouldn't have the person on the other side is called a catcher, so they would catch you, right?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a thing when you're a complete beginner because you're just learning how to swing. That's all.
So you're just
You're just swinging
basically,
and then
yeah.
dropping down. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that
Yeah.
is very cool to
So
know.
that's very fun.
Hmm.
Love that. Very much feels like you're falling the first couple of times. There's a getting over fear, which can be fun because it's in a safe
Mm,
environment. But yeah,
yeah,
it's scary.
that is very cool.
Yeah. Then something else I did, if you want to move the slide, is partner acrobatics. So I had actually someone stand on my shoulders, which was very fun. And
Ooh.
then someone doing like a little shoulder stand on me. Um, I've never done this before, and I'm still very bad at it. Anything where I have to hold someone. There's some things we tried where someone like steps into your hands, and my wrist can just not take that. And it's like
Mm.
getting a bit over your pride of like I'm not physically well enough to do this yet. It's a bit
How
it
do you,
can be tough mentally, but
yeah. Do you have to just, how do you get, wait, how do you get strong enough in your wrists? I'm fully just going off ta on tangents here, but this is
that's
very
fine.
interesting to know, honestly.
I think it's literally just like walking around with weights in your wrist, probably. That's how I can imagine. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Wow.
Um,
Also
yeah,
just a note while we're continuing talking about this, but if anybody has any questions for the Q&A, feel free to send them whenever and we will answer them after this. But I'm basically asking any question that pops into my head at this point.
awesome.
Yeah, sorry, carry on then.
Yeah, yeah, as I said, I think that was very hard for me mentally, like after all of the things. Like some of them I was already experienced in, and I felt like I was pretty good at that. And then trying something, I was like, my body cannot handle that is very humbling, but it's a good
Mm,
experience to have. And I feel like if you start something freshly, that's probably gonna be a thing to get over. But
mm.
it's worth it in the end, I think. It's very good.
Yeah, I feel like has especially with this sort of thing. I know earlier we were talking about like the people that you meet and you mentioned last time we spoke that sometimes they are just like they won't be friends for life and they'll just be people that you know at circus. With some of
Mm.
these things there's a lot of like trust involved. How do some of those then develop into like friendships or are they kind of like you are just a circus person to me. Cool to see you. See you next time. Yeah.
I think it depends. I missed to say that earlier, but what I've found, and that's just completely like from experience, there's nothing official or scientific about
Mm,
that, but I felt that a lot of these weird niche hobby places where you try new things, a lot of them, the other people trying them are also neurodivergent. It just seems to be a thing that people like
mm,
flock there. Um, and for me, that makes it easier to make friendships because that's just kind of like a mutual understanding of things. So sorry, I completely forgot the question. What was
No,
it?
no, no, it's fine. I was just very interested in like connection making.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the trust definitely builds up. And I feel like I've gotten better at that. That seems to be a practice thing for me as well. So my first 1 week intensive, it took me a week to like properly talk to people and be kind of relatively social. And
Mm.
in this the 4 weeks, in the first week I already made good connections, but I've been in the circus space, I've been trying new things for a long time. So I think probably just exposure to exactly that of being in a new group and meeting new people and making friends makes you better at those things, weirdly.
No, it makes
That's
sense,
how I found
definitely.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exposure and it's a lot of these like mental things. I always say there's basically working it is working on a muscle.
Mm.
Like friendship making, trust, is all muscles. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I will another is there another slide? I can't
There's
remember.
one more
Yes.
slide that I wanted to share because I
Ooh.
didn't know what a teeter board was first, but this is a teeter board.
Whoa.
And that's my favorite clip from the entire 4 weeks. So like 6 seconds it is. Um, and that's a complete teamwork thing. So you see like two people running and jumping on the thing out of frame. There's two people stomping on one side of the seesaw, basically. There's one
Yeah.
people holding my lines, so I'm also in lines. So I'm safe. Not gonna fall on my head.
Hmm.
So it's very much a team thing, which is intimidating because you feel like everyone's looking at you and expecting you to do some cool trick. While the other people are kind of working for you in quotation marks.
Mm,
But it's so much fun. And once you're like at a proper circus level, which obviously this is like my second time trying it or something, um, there's obviously no lines and there's people standing on both sides, like pushing each other into the air. It's really cool to see. And this is like the very beginner stage of like people drop you and you
hmm.
jump up a little bit, right?
I need to go to the
Yeah.
circus again. This sounds so cool to watch.
It definitely doing circus has given me a new appreciation of watching it. And I do enjoy circus shows a lot more now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Uh, yeah, I feel like again, there's a lot of like trust going on here, as well as like responsibility, and
Mm,
it's such a nice thing. So I've heard, to have like this responsibility where it's only this, and that's your only thing that you have to work on for that time. That's yeah, I love the idea of that.
it's quite nice to be like I don't have to do anything else, no other work other than figuring out how to not fall on my face. Also safety wise, I just wanted to say there's a lot
Mhm.
of with the partner acrobatics and also with these things. Not sure if you can see at the start of the clip, but I look to the people to the side, ask them if they're ready. They look at each other, and then I give the signal for them to start. So there's a lot of communication with being taught to make us feel safe.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And it's a lot in circus when you're doing partner things and also partner acro that there's lots of communication you need to establish first. And if people disregard that, you might hurt yourself. So it's
Mm.
very important that everyone is aware of how to tell each other what to do and like, please get off of my shoulders, for example.
Yeah, and yeah, especially the signals and stuff as well, because
Mm.
that's a quicker sometimes way to like communicate with everybody. I think
Yeah.
it's very cool. Yeah. Again,
So
don't
yeah.
try this at home. I know that seesaws
Yes.
exist in real life. Don't do it.
Yes, there's, as you can see, there's mats, there's spotters on the other side, so people making sure we don't fall on our heads. Um, this is also specialized material, so it won't break when you jump on it. A normal seesaw might break.
Mm,
I'm in lines again, like someone's preventing me from falling to the ground. All of those things.
mm.
Do not do it at home. Yeah.
Okay, is this the last slide?
Yeah, so this was a
Cool.
snapshot of what I've been doing for 4 weeks. Basically that, a little bit of theatre, a little bit of dance.
And
Um,
then you'd go and
yeah.
run some of the sessions with us, which, like I've said, it is quite tiring sometimes. So having to do that and then coming to this, you're so brave. Uh,
Ah.
so
It's very
strong and so
much
brave. Yes.
different
Um,
different mindsets like that. It's like, yeah.
yeah. I guess it's easier to compartmentalize in some way. It's just like the actual tiredness that you'd have to work through. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ta-
Ta-da! Cool. I see some questions in the chat, so I think we may go with those first, and then maybe do a little bit on self-care. But I feel like we've already
mhm.
kind of touched on it. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
first question, where can a circus course take you? Will you work in a traveling circus company?
Ooh. Um, that really depends on, yeah, what you want to do with it. My thing that I'm probably gonna write down as a tagline somewhere, but it's like scientist by day and circus artist by night or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My dream would be that I work as a scientist like full time, but I have like gigs and performances like on the weekend or in the evenings. That would be my ideal. I'm not sure if that's gonna work or not. But also there's so much more you can do. Like just with 4 weeks, this wouldn't make you a professional, other than if you're really good already, then yeah. But you can go into like several months courses. There is year-long courses, and then there's also, I didn't know that before I started Circus, there's uni courses for Circus. So you can do
Oh,
BTEC, so you can do kind of like making a degree or having a degree in like theatre or acting, the same
that
as you
makes
can do one in
sense.
Circus.
Mm-hmm.
So you can study it for 3 or 4 years. As far as I know, you don't have to do that to be a professional if you're already really good and understand stuff. Um, yeah, there's so many ways you can get into it.
That is so
And
interesting.
yeah, I think I would love to be um part-time circus artist. So I will not
Yeah.
be running away with the circus, other than if my science doesn't work at all, then I'll
You
just
could
run away with
have
the circus.
some sort of lab where you also do circus skills, I'm sure. Probably not safe
Yeah.
for either side of that, but it'd be
No.
very cool to watch.
If I was a different kind of scientist, I'd absolutely do like I don't know, neuroscience of a circus artist, so like the physiology and sports science. But I'm
Mm,
not that kind of scientist, unfortunately. So that could have worked together, but it doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that would be very cool. Okay, yeah. So,
Yeah.
one question we have is what sort of exercises have been the most important for you to get strong enough to do everything?
Um, so I think there's definitely better ways than how I do it. You can go to the gym or you can do like home workouts in very specific things that help. I've not been really doing much of that because I don't really enjoy like things like home workouts. I really enjoy going to circus classes, so that's what I've mostly been doing. So yeah, I've been doing 2, 3 hours a week for years to be able to get to that point.
Mm,
But I also do a lot of rock climbing, so I do that quite a lot, which helps with like pulling strength and yeah, that stuff. I do dance as well. As you can see, there's lots of things that I do that not just do exercise, but that are like other things
fun.
that
Yeah.
I enjoy. Yeah, because otherwise I can't get myself to just exercise.
Exercise
Um,
adjacent.
yeah, exercise adjacent, exactly. Which is why I said there's better ways you can prep yourself. But I can't slash I don't want to. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's mostly climbing. I do a bit of yoga, or did not recently, but yeah, some of that. Do some swimming for recovery mostly, but
Mm, yeah, I feel like a lot
yeah,
of what you've mentioned is strength based, except for dance and I guess swimming, which is more cardio based, I guess. But that is very
yeah,
interesting how all those kind of help come together to like get you to the circus.
yeah. I think it's also important to note that it's not just strength. You do need cardio, because if
Mm,
you're doing a routine that lasts 3 minutes, you can't just go up, do one move, and come down again, which is what I usually do. Um, but yeah, you do need the cardio, and you
mm,
also need there's not really a thing you can exercise, but like theatrical stuff, I guess, and like expression and body awareness and all of that. I think just a lot of movement helps.
yeah,
But yeah,
pizzazz and
mostly I've just been doing circus classes
yeah.
straight up.
No, that's very, I think that that makes sense because like you
That's what I
said,
love.
I think dance is what I enjoy. If I were to be like, I'm going to go for a run, I absolutely would not.
Mm.
But
It
I
has to be
think
sustainable, as I said. Yay.
has to be sustainable, has to be fun. Uh yeah, I think that that is a very good hold on, brain is loading. Yeah, that kind of covers some of the kind of like how you look after yourself because it is very much like it's training to train in some
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
there's definitely a different mindset to like, oh, I'm just going to a fun class, or like I'm gonna do stuff for 4 weeks, because
Mm,
it's a lot of, most of it is trying not to get injured. So if like my muscle hurts, I'm gonna make sure to stretch and relax it so I don't hurt it more.
mm,
And so your brain doesn't decide, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
I have two very good questions here. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
go with the one of them that's in chat, so and
yeah.
then we'll move on to the other one. So what would you advise to someone struggling with trying new things, as in activities you want to do but a bit scared about doing it alone?
Um, there's I think a couple of things I can offer as advice. Find something adjacent to something you already know you enjoy. That sounds a bit weird, but like if you
Mm,
know you like dance, try a different style of dance. If you know you like running, try a different running club or something, just to ease yourself into it. As I said, the more you try it, the better it gets. Also the evaluating the importance you have. So this has to be my new thing, and I've already made a plan that for the next 6 months I'm gonna do this every second day or something. If you get rid of that and try to, I know it's difficult, but try really being there for the experience of trying rather the experience of being good at something or having something new that you enjoy. Like
mm,
sometimes there's a lot of pressure of this is a cool thing and I wanna make this a new hobby. That also doesn't just have to be exercise based stuff. And you feel like you have to enjoy it, which then takes it out of it. And then also, if you have a friend, you can always force them to go. That's so I've done that sometimes. If I'm very too scared, to bring a friend, and then at some point you have like circus people you can drag to a dance class or something.
hmm
But if that's not an option for you, is very much the mindset and also give yourself time to digest it afterwards. And if it didn't work out, that's fine. Um, try as much as you can, but only if you can. I don't know if my babbling just makes sense, but
No, no,
that
no. I
feels
think
sensible to me.
I think I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think if you can, yeah, definitely friends always help. But if you do it alone, and that's something that I'm definitely working on and trying to do more things by myself.
Mm,
Because I like I do get sh quite shy and nervous by myself, but also I like sharing experiences with people, and I think
mm,
I automatically narrow it down to being like, if I don't have a friend to share it with, then what's the point? But the point is that
yeah.
you're getting to experience it, you're trying out a new thing, and then you have a story to tell. And Mekin said
Yeah,
it in
make
one of
experiences.
yeah, what Mekin said it in one of her role model talks, and I also say it is that sometimes something could be a funny story to tell someone. Like you
Yeah,
might get a bit embarrassed, but you can tell your friends and it's funny.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
like making experiences. And a really silly thing that I do sometimes when I feel like I'm being bad at stuff or I'm really uncomfortable is to think I'm probably never going to see any of these people ever again. So if anyone sees me being silly or being bad, then no one ever knows about it because I will never see them again. And then if
Exactly.
it's not that bad, then you can come back and then it doesn't matter anymore.
If not, I'm leaving. I'm going to a
Yeah,
different circus group somewhere.
it's kind of tricking your brain into making it okay until you've tried it and then seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset thing because I think as soon as I start letting the little voice of like, you suck, you fell on your face, ha ha ha, then I'm gonna n- ruminate. No, I'm gonna just think about it a lot. But yeah, I think that's such a good point as well. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that was a great answer. I really liked it. We have one more, and I don't know, this could be controversial. I don't know if you've seen it, but what is your opinion on the Greatest Showman movie? Was it accurate?
So fortunately I haven't seen it yet, so I can't answer. I've seen snippets, I think. Um, but I'm not sure if I've seen the right version.
Have you seen
Is
any kind
Zendaya
of?
in it? Is that
Yes,
is
and
that
Hugh
the new one or is
Jackman.
that the general one? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Have you seen any kind of circus media? And is that kind of accurate, or is it always kind of like showing that it's easier said than done type thing?
Let me Google The
Quickly.
Greatest Showman just to see pictures. Um To be honest, the only content I consume about or media I consume about circus is either circus shows live or like circus artists in training on social media,
Mm.
which are very realistic depictions, obviously because it's the actual people. Hang on, the greatest showman. But I've seen like I don't know what movie it was, but like a snippet of someone learning Circus, and that was like the movie, I guess. I don't know.
Hmm.
Of stuff that is like safety wise not quite right, of like where things are rigged, or like where the equipment is hung upon, or if there's safety mats, or like expectations of what you would do as a beginner, of like
Mm.
um don't remember if I have a good example, but when I was on the picture where I was in the rope, like kind of wrapped up in it, the climbing up to that point is a lot harder than you might think it is. And for a lot of people first starting it, especially if you're not super fit beforehand, takes a couple of months to get to a point where you can comfortably climb all the way up.
Mm.
If that's a thing that happens in movies, that's very unrealistic.
I'm sure it
And
does.
yeah,
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
I've just seen a picture, I think, of The Greatest Showman where two people have like straps on their hands and then swinging around.
Mm.
Yeah. One-handed stuff is very difficult because you're hanging your entire body weight from one hand.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's not a beginner thing, but I'm not sure of how it's portrayed in the show itself. I need to watch
Mhm.
it and then
Yeah, get back to us then.
give my
You
opinion.
update us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question, then we'll finish this session.
Mhm.
So if you're interested in loads of expensive hobbies like archery, horse riding, would you recommend doing like a deep dive in one or doing an occasional session for all of them?
That's a very good question because that's very much what I struggled with growing up and in uni still. I didn't also say that, I think, earlier, but I was very jealous often of people that had one hobby and were like really good at that hobby. Like think of like a gymnast or dancer that like spends all week dancing. And or if because I had so many different interests, I felt like I could never be good at one thing,
Mm,
and that made me quite sad. But now, um, first off, I found my thing a little bit, but also I've understood that it's fine to not be able to do all the things and not be good at all the things, first off. And then second off, yeah, I was very much into like I wanted to do archery and dance and scouts and climbing and swimming and dancing and circus and all of these things. As you said, those things can be expensive, and second, you don't have all of that time in the world, unfortunately.
mm,
Um, so what I would recommend is or what I would do rather than recommend, is do as much as different things as you can, like spaced out in workshops. You might find one thing that you enjoy most that you can do, and then just do like occasional things. Um, and if you can't, then yeah, like spacing out deep dives, if that makes sense. So like doing a
yeah.
1 week intensive, if that's a thing in archery. Um, but then taking some time off to recover financially
Yeah, yeah.
to
I
the
feel like
next big thing.
there's definitely also probably clubs out there that would allow like a beginner.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think dipping your toe into as many as possible to see if you'd like it rather than like fully going, like deep diving into it
yeah,
might be useful, but sometimes you might just have an affinity for something and maybe you've watched a bunch of videos, then yeah, it kind of depends on what it is, I think sometimes.
yeah. It depends on if you're like interested in trying lots of things or if you already know these
Mm,
5 things I want to do. It's a different approach. If you
yeah,
want to do
definitely.
all 5 things, then do them in deep dives, but like spaced. If
Yeah,
you haven't tried a lot of things, then try as much as you can
yeah.
um, on the shallow level to see if there's anything that sticks. Is what I would do.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. Lovely. Okay. Final thing, I guess like what would be your main kind of bit of advice to somebody if they were to be like, Len, I am trying to think of what I want to do. Help me.
You mean like
Like I'm
hobby-wise
thinking,
or
yeah, hobby wise.
okay. Yeah. Go for it for the experience, as you said, like maybe it's just a funny story.
Hmm.
Try to not think that this is gonna be your whole life now. It might be, but as a starting expectation, I think expecting that you're gonna try it once and have a good time is is a healthy start. Yeah, and then what always helps me is thinking, especially if you go to like a club or like a beginner's class or something, that lots of people around you have the exact same are in the exact same situation as you are. And are probably also scared.
Mm.
And you can kind of bond over that.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the end, you've tried a good thing and you can be proud of yourself and you can take some time to rest and sit with that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
I think that's
that's what
great.
I'd say.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, just a little bit of things from me before we go. First of all, thank you everybody for watching. Thank
Thank
you
you
to
very much.
anybody in the future who is watching this. We are now in the past. Hello, I hope everything's okay. Yeah, and the next role model talk, I think, is happening on November the 26th, again, a Tuesday, with Tanya, who has a psychology and criminology degree and is currently working for the government. I've shortened that a lot, but I'll make a post somewhere. But yes, thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you, Len. Thank
Exciting.
you, everybody, for watching. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.